Welcome to Unmasked, the CCI Anesthesia podcast, the show where we dive deep into the world of anesthesia practice improvement, quality enhancement, and the evolving landscape of healthcare. I'm Kieran Zumwalt, your guide on this journey as we explore the strategies, innovations, and stories that shape the future of anesthesia care. Get ready to be enlightened, inspired, and most importantly, unmasked as we unravel the many layers of the current state of anesthesia. This is Unmasked. Today, we're diving into a topic that resonates with healthcare professionals across the spectrum, the changing landscape of work-life balance for anesthesia clinicians. As the dynamics of the healthcare industry evolve, so do the perspectives on balancing professional demands with personal well-being. Join us as we explore the shifting paradigms, discuss the impact on burnout, and discover the strategies that reshape anesthesia clinicians' work-life equilibrium. I'm your host, Kieran Zumwalt, and let's unmask the insights that are redefining the journey of those behind the mask. Bianca Camps is on our panel today. Bianca is the Executive Vice President of Operations at CCI Anesthesia. Bianca brings over a decade of experience in strategy, policy, and fostering a culture of quality and efficiency. With a background in emergency medicine and behavioral therapy practice management, her professional affiliations include EDPMA, Lambda Delta Honor Society, and the Women Business Leaders of the U.S. Healthcare Industry Foundation. Bianca, welcome to Unmasked.
Thank you for having me.
Joining Bianca, we have Christy Buchholz. She is the Vice President of Staffing and Recruiting at CCI Anesthesia. Christy is a true authority in recruiting anesthesiologists and CRNAs for both permanent and locum tenens positions. With a keen focus on leadership and accountability, Christy brings a unique perspective to the field, leveraging her strong organizational and interpersonal skills. Christy, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
So, set the stage. How have you observed attitudes toward work-life balance changing in healthcare, particularly for CRNAs and anesthesiologists?
That's a good question because it's changing rapidly and we are seeing a shift, right? In how people want to work and how people want to balance work with life. Spending more time in life is more of the priority. We find a lot of our providers are wanting to learn how to fly planes part-time and they want to go skiing and doing all their extracurricular activities, and that's important to them. So we're seeing a shift in not only compensation, but the time that they want to have off. It's definitely been something to navigate, obviously, because healthcare is 24/7, but they want to have that time to do the things that they enjoy.
So looking back, what are some of the traditional expectations regarding work hours and work-life balance for CRNAs and anesthesiologists, and how have those expectations evolved?
I think previously, and they've had a 9 to 5, really 7 to 3, but and then they are also on call and they're getting 8 weeks off, but now they're wanting more of a shift to having 2 weeks of solid work, and maybe they're on call every night versus every 5th night, and then they're wanting that 2 weeks off to go and spend that time and have that downtime with their family.
It's like they want to condense it, right?
Yes.
Make as much as they can in the smallest amount of time so then that they can go take those 2-week-long vacations or just spend more time with family, that being able to, be at home for dinner every night. So they sacrifice maybe 2 weeks out of the month to miss those dinners and maybe those recitals to then have the latter part of the month where they can enjoy those things in the evenings.
Have you noticed any generational shifts in the attitudes toward work-life balance among CRNAs and anesthesiologists?
Definitely. And it's generational. Think about the amount of baby boomers that we currently have working, but will soon leave the industry, just in healthcare in general. And their work ethic it's completely different than generations currently and the ones to come. So before they just went in and got it done. Now there are a lot more boundaries. I know boundaries are like a buzzword for the last year and a half, or even really since the pandemic, but everyone is reclaiming their time, essentially, making sure that they aren't overextending themselves and taking that time for their mental health as well.
What is it about the industry at the moment that allows that shift to be occurring, that people are wanting a greater work-life balance? I'm sure people have always wanted that since the dawn of time, but what is it about the market today that really allows that to be occurring?
It's the competitiveness of the market is allowing them to demand that, essentially.
Yeah. And too, you think about the pandemic. I think that was eye-opening for a lot of people and helped them reassess kind of where they wanted to spend their time. That work-life balance is key.
Mm-hmm.
How do younger professionals approach this aspect of their careers compared to their predecessors? You touched on the baby boomers, but what about this up-and-coming generation?
Well, they're definitely more about the feelings. right? Like, do I feel like this is an employer that is listening to me, or an employer that cares about my mental health, and one that also is in tune with how much I'm actually working and what I'm doing, right? It's easy to kind of be in your, administrative office and not go down to the OR to see what your providers are actually having to face every day. 12, sometimes 16 hours long days can be very burdensome, and that really wears people out and burns them out. So just having the ability to be in touch with your providers is important, and I think that's what this generation wants. Is they're obviously way more vocal about it than I think previous generations.
Mm-hmm.
How does achieving a better work-life balance contribute to the overall job satisfaction and career longevity of CRNAs and anesthesiologists?
I think with any profession, if you're comfortable with your work-life balance and you feel that downtime, then you're going to stay. You're going to put everything you have when you're there, because you know that you can put everything into your family and your life when you're not there.
Yeah, and employers who know that will be able to attract those candidates or those providers that will stay long term. And retention is huge, especially in healthcare, because providers are hard to find. The good ones can be hard to keep if you're not creating an environment that allows them to have that balance and helps prevent that burnout.
What initiatives have healthcare organizations and anesthesia departments implemented to support and enhance that work-life balance for their anesthesia providers?
Well, definitely, what I'm starting to see more of is just, the C-suite folks, if you will, are finding more ways to connect with those providers. So sending lunch down to the OR, making sure that they're, throwing nice events throughout the year, maybe doing CRNA week, just ensuring that these providers know that they're valued and that they appreciate the hard work that they're doing. So, just finding ways to make things more lighthearted and while also being mindful that, they're devoting so much of their personal life to taking care of others. Let's take care of our providers.
Mm-hmm. Burnout is a prevalent concern. I'm sure both of you have encountered dealing with such a thing quite frequently with the anesthesia providers that you work with. How does a focus on work-life balance play a role in mitigating burnout among anesthesia providers, and what strategies have proven effective against burnout?
Well, I would say, we assess their hours. We're looking to see how long are you working, and then our providers who there's still that certain generations really love to pick up additional weeks, work all of their off weeks. And sometimes we have to protect our providers from themselves and say, hey, I've noticed you've been working 12 weeks straight. That's probably not the best for your mental health. And we also want to make sure your family still is happy with you, especially since they haven't seen you much, right? So just helping them be more mindful of the amount of time that they're spending working and checking in with them, I think is an important thing that we do.
Another thing that we do well is we will bring in our CRNAs into conversations about staffing models so that they have a say in what their work-life balance is.
Can you discuss some of the various scheduling models that are gaining popularity currently in anesthesia and how that contributes to the improved work-life balance?
Our most popular is probably a 2-on, 2-off model. So they'll work 2 weeks and then they're off 2 weeks. And scheduling shifts. We have some new sites where we now have shifts that are scheduled that allows them, like I said, to do the 312s, and then they're home for 4 days.
How does prioritizing work-life balance positively impact the quality of patient care that's provided by the anesthesia providers?
If you're not burnt out because you have a good work-life balance and you're present, you're there to take care of that provider, and you're not dreading it, for lack of a better word.
Right. Or overworked and tired, and no provider wants to miss something. But if you've been working nonstop and haven't had an adequate amount of rest, like you more than likely could miss something, and that could jeopardize your career. So making sure that, you are in tune with, okay, I've been extending myself too much. I need to take a break. I need to take a moment to myself.
Recognizing the importance of mental health, how are attitudes shifting regarding the acknowledgement and support of mental health concerns among anesthesia professionals, and how does this tie into the work-life balance?
I've seen a lot of societies, the AANA and state societies have wellness programs. That focus on that for the providers.
Well, I think that's fair. The wellness programs, that's definitely something that I think in general, like everyone is thinking about that, because your health is wealth, right? So hospitals that are maybe encouraging, providers to go out and walk, get some fresh air throughout the day, properly scheduling the OR block times to where they have the ability to get out earlier and maybe be able to get some sunshine or, just little things like that. Our hospitals can do that to help build that wellness and protect that provider's mental health.
And how does CCI play into that? What roles do you take proactively to ensure the mental health of your providers?
Well, it's just continuing to review their hours, right? Checking in with them, just sending a quick text, hey, how's it going? Just to see, because we can't underestimate the amount of stress that they're already carrying, not only in their professional life, but in their personal life. So just reaching out, touching base, gathering feedback on how we can improve the practice, how we can improve their work-life balance, the amount of hours they're working, just soliciting that feedback, I think is beneficial for them.
What advice do you give CRNAs and anesthesiologists when negotiating contracts and benefits to ensure a favorable work-life balance?
We try to present models or compensation packages that are within the market standard, are appropriate for the site. So already we've kind of put those things in place, and then based off of our interviews with them and conversations with them, we decide whether or not that's a good fit for them. Because if it's a good fit for them, that hopefully will ensure their longevity, and then we can move on to other vacancies that we have to fulfill.
Have you observed cultural shifts within healthcare organizations that promote a healthier work-life balance for anesthesia providers?
Definitely starting to see it a lot more. I mean, the conversations are being had more often because of attrition, right?
Mm-hmm.
They want to retain good staff. So you have to focus on, well, what's driving them away? And if it's, difficult surgeons, if it's long hours, if it's a lack of appropriate medications, whatever it may be that could impact their practice. I mean, these things have to be addressed. And we, as we're managing the practice, bring those to the attention of the administration. And we ensure that we provide a good, plan in place to help drive whatever initiatives that need to be driven to retain the staff that they have there.
When recruiting CRNAs and anesthesiologists, what are those incoming providers looking for from CCI from your perspective? Is there something in particular? Are they typically burnt out? What is it that they are coming to CCI for other than a job?
They're looking for flexibility and compensation, be it an increased compensation, but then joined with that flexibility for the work-life balance is just as important to them.
And they're looking for independence in practice as well, the autonomy, the ability to, work independently and at the top of their license in some cases. So we definitely encourage that. We ensure that they have the support system and the clinical leadership team behind them to ensure that they're able to do that.
So when it comes to, finding success for this work-life balance initiatives that hospitals and anesthesia companies are looking to implement, how can healthcare organizations measure that success in these initiatives, specifically regarding anesthesia, and what metrics are commonly used to assess the overall impact?
Well, number one is attrition and retention, right? Like if people are leaving, there's definitely a problem. So that's one measure. And then two, I would say just attendance in general. Like if they're having events or, in services, just seeing who's actually interested in these things, because I feel like providers want to get they want to get a little bit more out of the places that they're working. So if they're able to get a good in-service on, a particular procedure or anything like that, they're getting something in return. And I feel like that ensures their loyalty to the hospital or to the practice that they're working for.
If a provider is looking for a better work-life balance, what options do they have?
Well, within CCI, they have a plethora of options because we have various practices across the United States, and we provide a lot of flexibility in scheduling. The weeks off is always obviously a big deal because that provides that work-life balance. And we have various models that can give you, like Christy said, half of the year, work half the year, maybe mix up your shifts or mix up the weeks to whatever fits your schedule. So, and then obviously competitive compensation packages helps too, and incentives.
So looking ahead, what trends do you foresee in the attitudes toward work-life balance for anesthesia providers, and how might these trends further influence the culture and practice of anesthesia?
I think we're already seeing some of those trends with the scheduling. They're wanting the mixed schedule versus having to work a full work week. I think that's one that we're going to see more of over the next few years, especially with the new grads coming out because that seems to be very important to them.
And, location is a trend too, or at least the ability to be able to get in and out of that location. Accessibility. Yeah. That's definitely going to be more of a trend. And incentives are always a trend as well. More student loan forgiveness, bigger sign-ons for down payments on new homes, just, continuing to listen to what the new grads are seeking and our providers are telling us. That's making those jobs attractive. That's what we do here at CCI to ensure that, we're staying competitive and that people are seeing that what we offer is the best out there.
Ultimately, working with your coworkers is important. It's important to like who you work with and where you work. But how does that affect, the overall mental health, work-life balance, et cetera, for these providers in these remote places that CCI works in?
It's a huge impact. I mean, we spend a big chunk of our time working, right? And we have to spend it with people or with our colleagues, and you want to work with people that you enjoy. So one thing we like to do is when we have our clinical leadership in place, we always say, we want to build a practice around you. You not only are the best recruiter for us, the provider, because they know the site in and out, but they can also help sell that site to their fellow colleagues and build the practice around them. So you go to work, you enjoy going to work with your buddies, and that's something that we like to foster here at CCI.
So for companies like CCI, clinicians are the most valuable resource. How is it that CCI invests in those clinicians?
Well, one, we have the clinical leadership position. So we encourage all of our providers to, apply for those positions when they become available. We have a strong clinical leadership team that will go to sites and review quality and talk to the providers and, provide feedback on documentation, or if there's any questions, we provide guidance. So just to ensure that they're continuing to, practice high quality medicine, they have a nice resource within CCI to bounce things off of. And then we have our leadership meetings as well. And we love going to conferences and taking our providers with us if we can, so that they can be, be able to converse with others in the industry, as well as meet other CCI clinicians and kind of build those relationships.
And I think we invest in them on a relationship level as well. We listen to what their needs are and what their desires are for their practice. And to our best ability, we make that happen.
And what are some of the ways that CCI obtains that feedback from those providers, since they're all so spaced out across the country? How does it that CCI is able to stay in tune with that kind of thing?
Well, our regional directors are always keeping in touch with our providers. That's their primary function, which is to ensure that our providers are being heard. We're following up with them, just assessing to any needs that they have. And then our recruiting team is also keeping in touch with them to see if there's, any other opportunities they're interested in, if there's anything we can do to support them. We just keep that constant flow of communication.
To close the program, what are your last thoughts on work-life balance in anesthesia? Any lingering thoughts?
I think we just can reiterate the importance of it and the fact that CCI values that and wants to ensure that our providers are able to continue to, practice the medicine that they want to practice, high quality clinical care, as well as be able to enjoy life outside of work.
We make sure our compensation's competitive. We also provide the competitive models because you want to make sure that you're comparable so that you can get the best talent. And you can find the provider that's going to also fit well with the practice, that they're going to be engaged, they're going to work well with their coworkers, and which is going to provide better satisfaction.
Absolutely. Well, Bianca, Christy, thank you very much for both being here today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Until next time. Unmasked is brought to you by CCI Anesthesia, leaders in anesthesia services for over 20 years. Subscribe to Unmasked, the CCI Anesthesia podcast today, so you never miss an episode. For more resources and information, visit the CCI Anesthesia website at ccianesthesia.com. We look forward to having you with us next time as we continue to unveil the remarkable stories and innovations shaping the future of anesthesia care. Until then, stay curious, stay informed, stay safe, and we'll see you next time.